let's not destroy Herman Cain's candidacy over what we've heard so far. That's what we're going to talk about in the Lunch Alert today. You know, these kinds of charges very often surface in political campaigns. Sometimes they amount to something, sometimes they don't. But it's terribly important that we don't jump to a conclusion based on very, very limited evidence. Let's review what we know. There are two women who have made an accusation about Herman Cain. We don't know their names. They're not willing to stand up and tell us who they are or what the facts are or what the story was, and we're asked to judge based on sealed documents that they won't even unseal. And one woman, Cain really says he doesn't know, and she says that vaguely knows, and she says there was a proposition made. He flatly denies it. Until she comes forward with some proof, this is not worth seriously considering. The other is from a woman who makes some apparently specific accusations. Cain doesn't know what they are. He did say that he had a conversation with her where he said she was about the same height as his wife and came up to hear on him, and I don't think that that's particularly suggestive or offensive. And I think that we have to just basically step back and say, where's the proof? Who did what? When did they do it? And is this of such gravity that we're not willing to consider this man for president? Because let's remember, these charges come from two Democratic organs, Politico, which is a spin-off of the Washington Post, and the New York Times. And they are obviously coming at a time when they're trying to throw anything they can in the way of this surging candidacy of Herman Cain's. He's a very good man. He's a breath of fresh air in our political system. And it would be terrible if his candidacy is dismissed on this kind of evidence. Now, if there's more evidence, if they're willing to stand up and be known and be quoted and be examined and talk to the press and be confronting their people they're accusing, well, that's something very different. But right now, hey, we're just talking about blue smoke and mirrors. Now, one thing I want to talk about today that's kind of fun is that my wife, Eileen McGann, and I, and our friend Clayton Leota, an illustrator, have written a book. And it's not, you know, like Revolt or 2020. It's called Dubs Goes to Washington and Discovers the Greatness of America. Dubs is our cute golden retriever. And Eileen and I were concerned that there's really no place where you can get a history of our heritage, our heroes, and the substance of what makes America such an extraordinary country. Kids just can't get that. They get the politically correct version, and they don't get the real version. So we decided to send our retriever on an imaginary trip to Washington where he loses his tennis ball, and he has to look for it all over the place, can't find it, and as he goes from monument to monument, we use his visiting that monument to explain what the history is all about. So, for example, our flag was planted by the U.S. Marines in one of our history's most famous scenes. To the soldiers who made sure freedom never fails, people give thanks and dogs wag their tails. So this is available on dickmorris.com. It's not being sold in any bookstores. And by the way, your child or grandchild can help find the tennis ball, because in each of these frames, the tennis ball is secreted away someplace that Dubs can't find, but maybe your 5-year-old can. So I hope you enjoy it. Thanks a lot.